and kind of kick it off from there.
Awesome. Welcome to those who are on the call. Great to have you with us. I'm Judy Techmeyer, and I'm the CEO of CAMP, going into the second summer, and super excited about who you're meeting this evening and them being able to answer questions. The team is assembled and super excited about them and what they are bringing to CAMP, their ideas and their energy. So just wanted to say hello and welcome, and that's my thing for the evening, and I'm excited that this group will be able to answer your questions. So let them have it. Let them know what you're interested in and what your questions might have. So thanks, Sean.
Thank you. All right, and welcome again to this webinar. We're really excited to have you here, and I'll go ahead and introduce myself, and just so you get to know me a little bit. So I am Sean Diamond. I am the camp director here at camp for this year. This is my first summer here at Camp Manitowish. I have actually over 10 years of camping experience throughout the 5 different states that I've worked at, starting in Illinois, working my way over to Indiana. I've worked at a couple different YMCA camps. So in Illinois, I worked at Camp Duncan. So I started my YMCA career there, which then I transferred over to Indiana, where I worked at another YMCA camp called Potawatomi, where I got more experience with the outdoor education school group side of things. Then during COVID, I transitioned over to Kentucky, where I worked with a uh, independent organization that was not a YMCA, that was more of a trauma-informed care facility. So I got to kind of get more in depth with that as well, which was really exciting. And then I worked my way over to Michigan and got back into the YMCA and did a lot with just summer camps. And I love summer, so like that was my thrill, is always to stay in summer. And now I'm here at Manitowish YMCA, and I'm just really excited to kind of join this team and learn more about everything that there is to camping. And my favorite thing of camp, of course, is walking around camp with my family. So I'm just really excited to get immersed into the camp magic and have my family be around for that, and just really excited for that, and just getting excited for everyone to be here and the warmer weather to come. And now I'm going to go ahead and kick it off to Luke, and he's going to go ahead and introduce himself for a little bit.
Hi, everyone. My name is Luke. I am the wilderness director here at camp. This is also my first summer with Manitowish, but I've been working in outdoor education in a lot of different capacities for many, many years. Most recently, I was running the outdoor education program at a college out in central Minnesota. Before that, I've done everything from running the ropes course at a YMCA in Western Massachusetts. I've been an instructor and course director with Voyager Outward Bound. I've worked with front country outdoor education programs. I've spent weeks on the end out in the wilderness. And I am very, very excited to be here and to be involved in a program of this size and scale. I love pretty much everything about camp and about getting to be in this outdoor education environment. But when I was told I had to pick one favorite thing, that was undoubtedly those times when I get to welcome campers and staff back from their trips, and to get to see them in full trail mode with the mud and the dirty clothes and the wet hair and the huge, huge smiles on their faces after those fantastic experiences. I love getting to be a part of those experiences and see the awesome results that come for both our campers and our staff. And with that, I'm going to kick it off to Kevin.
Thank you, Luke. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Gibbons, and I am the Summer Camp Program Director here at Camp Manitowish YMCA. A little bit about me. So I grew up coming to camp myself. So I had 8 years as a participant working through summer camp, as well as in the Outpost program. And then as soon as I turned 18, I started working here at camp, and I've been working here ever since. So 2025 will be my 12th year on staff. And over the course of those 12 years, I've worn many different hats. I was a counselor for a number of years. I was a program staff member. So I was a lifeguard on the waterfront. I was the music director for about 7 years. I was a seasonal administrator, so I was a sectional, I was a waterfront director, I worked as a program staff director, and this is my first year as a summer camp program director stepping into this role. So I'm so excited and grateful to be here in that capacity. I would say one of the things that I love most about being here at camp is just the connections that you get to create and form, be it with our campers or our staff. I think it's just incredible that I have so many special friendships and connections with folks that I met when I was 10 years old and folks that I met for the first time last year. So the community is something that is just incredible here at camp, and one of the things that I love most. And with that, I'm going to throw it to the wonderful Karen Christofferson.
Awesome. Thank you. So glad to be here. I am the Director of Operations here at Manitowish, longtime camper and staff member, and was the Summer Program Director, so kind of where Kevin's sitting back in 2009 to 13, but excited to be back in this role with such a place that has really touched my heart and my family's heart for so many years. I have spent the last 10 years at Sherman Lake YMCA over in Michigan, but again, my family and I are just thrilled to be back here. One of the things that I'm really excited about for this summer is just to re-engage with our camper families and alumni. I mean, there's some folks on here that are longtime friends, right? That I grew up with at camp, and so now sending their kiddos. So that's kind of going to be a fun little bit. And to be honest, I really just want to canoe across Boulder Lake. I came and it was pretty chilly, and then it was like cold. Now it's frozen, and just really excited for it to thaw. And for you all to get here to be able to start paddling across the lake. As we begin tonight, I think one of the things that's really important of the work that we do is our mission, right? When we think about how we are expected to show up in this space, we are expected in how we treat one another, and the things that we do here at camp, it is to be honest, caring, respectful, and responsible. So when we kind of think about how we're going to operate here and how the fun is going to happen, that's just one thing that's going to be really important that we make sure that we really start off with. And then as we kind of grow, our mission is to enrich the character and leadership development of each person that has the Manitowish experience by helping them to grow in wisdom and stature and favor with God and favor with one another. So this is a journey that campers and staff come on when they come here to camp to really grow, to practice those life skills that are going to help them be the best person that they can be, and to improve our world. So I love our vision statement in there, in that we're going to improve the world. That's why I do what we do. That's why this team does. Super excited about this team that's kind of coming around. This is a group of people that care and are super excited about the work and improving our world. And so that's what we kind of think that we can do here at Manitowish, and excited to kind of dive a little bit more into that. So I'm going to pass it back off to Sean.
Thanks, Karen. So just kind of starting off with camp and getting you excited for camp, just the general location of camp. We are located in Boulder Junction, Wisconsin. We're about 10 minutes south of the Upper Peninsula. We're about 3.5 hours north of Madison, about 4.5 hours, about a little bit northeast of Minneapolis, 4.5 hours northwest of Milwaukee, and then about 5.5 hours north of Chicago. We have about 300 acres, a little over 300 acres that we have this awesome property to use. And we also have about 400 acres right to the left of us on that map that you can kind of see on the bottom left corner that talks more about the state land that we get to use. So not only do we have property on site that we get to use, but we have some nice property as well that we're very fortunate to use as well to do some fun camp programming and just really utilize all that beautiful lake as well that we have. And then the next slide is more about just the general location of camp. So we have a few different sections of camp. So we have our near south, far south, near north, and far north cabins. So those are our different sections that we have. And in each section, we have a few cabins that we have located in the area. So straight south of that big green building, the dining hall, is our first section, which is our near south section. So those cabins would be the Norway cabin, the Fairview, the Pine Grove, Idlewild, Bunkhouse, and Timber Lodge. So that would be the first cabins that are kind of close to there. And then there's a little small blue building in the middle, which is our wash house, which I can talk more about in the next slide, as we have a couple blue buildings that are called our wash houses. So the brown buildings are cabins, our blue buildings are wash houses, and then like our green buildings are more of our program areas. So then right south of the near south is our far south. So that's our second oldest group of campers usually, which is our Island View, Bay Ridge, Powerhouse, Portage, Tall Pines, and Eagle Ridge. So that's just straight south, and then there's another blue building right next to that, which is another wash house, which you can talk about. So each section has a wash house right around that area so that the campers can use the facilities right next to their cabins. And then north of the green dining hall is going to be our near north and far north cabins. So our near north would be our White Pine, Wildwood, Lakewood, Birch Lodge, North, and Shorewood. And then that closest blue cabin or blue building would be our closest wash house for our near north campers. And then straight north of there would be our far north cabins. So that would be Dundee, Last Resort 1 and 2, Voyager, Waldoos, and Hilltop. So that would be our far north, and then that far blue building would be our farthest wash house for all of those sections. So that's just a kind of a general layout of our cabins. Our age or our sections depend on the age and how many campers we have signed up for each section. So depending on how many fifth graders we have and ninth graders and 10th graders, depends on where they're generally located. But this is just a general layout of where we usually have our campers for each section. This is our cabins. So these are just interior and exterior pictures of our cabins. So we have a bunk room with our bunk beds, and then we also have a common room for each cabin that we have. So we have a sleeping area with some storage for the kids and campers to use for any kind of storage that they might need. And then there's a nice common area, as you can see in that bottom right picture, of a nice gathering space for kids to gather, whether it be at the end of the day to talk about how fun their day was, or just to gather at different moments in the day to kind of talk about their day and just really enjoy the company of their friends that are in that cabin. And then that exterior picture as well of the cabin is in there. And then we have our wash houses. So each wash house I was talking about are centrally located to those sections. So there's a couple exterior pictures of those cabins. And then inside we have some bathroom stalls and then shower stalls as well for all the campers to use. So that's a great opportunity for the kids to walk from their cabin to the wash house where they can use any time of the day. And then we have those campers go in and out, and we have some supervision while they are going in and out of the wash house as well. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Kevin. He's going to talk a little bit more about our programming for the day.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean. So this slide is dedicated to specifically talking about opening and closing days for our summer program. So our boys camp program as well as our girls camp program are each 3 weeks long. And the very first day that the campers and the participants arrive is what we call opening day. And the last day of the 3 weeks where the campers head on home is what we call our closing days. So our opening days for our boys camp session is June 21st. And our opening day for our girls camp session is July 21st. For both of those days, the opening day itself runs from 1 to 4:30 p.m. So that time frame is when we have many campers that arrive via bus, and then many of our campers are dropped off by their parents and guardians as well. So once the participant arrives, there are a few places where they go to get officially checked in. So we have our pavilion, which is our wonderful kind of big outdoor, indoor-outdoor space where they'll go first, and then they'll head on into the health center to check in with our health staff. And then from there, really exciting, they find out what cabin they're in, and you get to kind of walk with them and escort them to the cabin that they'll be. So they'll get to meet their counselors, they'll get to find a bunk and get to move into that space, and then get to meet their fellow campers and Yeah, and then as if you're there to drop off your participant, you get to kind of be there in that space and kind of help kind of like introduce them and get to meet the counselors, and it's just a really fun time. And you can see from some of the pictures in the slide there, some images from opening day. The bottom left there is one of my favorite aspects of opening day, which is the cookies that we have available for our campers and our staff and our parents who are dropping off their campers for a fun 3-week session. And then, yes, you can see folks kind of meeting at the cabin, and yeah. Our closing days are kind of the exact opposite of that. So when it comes time for the campers to leave, kind of the same process will happen. The buses will arrive at camp, parents and guardians will arrive, find their camper. It's a wonderful time to check in and meet again with the counselors. The trading post will be open, and you'll head on home after your fun 3 weeks here at camp. And then moving on to the next slide, thank you. So just a brief overview of the daily schedule of a typical day here in our summer camp program. So our meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner take place in our dining hall, which is called our Nash Dining Hall. Breakfast is at 7:30, lunch is at 12:30, and dinner is at 5:30. So in that time between breakfast and lunch, there are a number of things that occur. Specifically, right after breakfast, that time is kind of dedicated to helping you to straight up around your cabin and kind of collect the things and the belongings that you need for the day to be prepared and ready for the activity time that takes place. Specifically, there are 2 1-hour-long activity blocks that we call coaching periods, and the campers get to decide where they want to go for that first coaching period and for the second coaching period. So here at Manitowish, we have about a dozen what we call program areas, which are different activities like trail biking, horseback riding, archery, and tennis, all sorts of fun activities that have different things happening in them in every day. So the camper gets to decide where they want to go for first coaching period, so maybe archery, and then for second coaching period, they maybe decide they want to go to arts and crafts because they're doing tie-dye that day, which is a very fun and popular activity. After those coaching periods wrap up, that leads into some kind of free time / free swim, as we call it, before lunch. That's time for the campers to go to the trading post if they would like to, or kind of be in the cabin, or participate in a time-honored tradition called roof ball, which is a game that we have right in front of our trading post dining hall, and the campers and the staff are very passionate about that. And then, as the name implies, we also have some free open swim time on our main swimming pier as well, which is always fun. After lunch, you'll have a bit of a rest hour, which is a nice time to just kind of decompress and maybe straighten up around the cabin if it needs it. Otherwise, that's usually when, if there's any mail to be delivered, is delivered by the sectionals, who are the folks that work with the counselors, which is always fun. And then right after rest hour time, there are 2 more activity periods called cabin activities, which take place in the afternoon. Similar to the morning, they're each an hour long. The main difference between cabin activities and coaching periods is that cabin activities are where you're going to those areas, those program areas, like you were in the morning, but this time around you're going with your entire cabin. So each cabin in summer camp has 10 campers and 2 counselors. So your entire group of 12 people will go to, say, riflery for first, and then you're going to go to trail biking for second. And it's just a wonderful and great opportunity to spend time with the folks that are specifically in your cabin, and your counselors to be with the campers as well. Following the cabin activities, we'll have a short time again for free swim, free time. That'll lead into dinner. After dinner, there is what we call detail, which is time to get assigned to specifically take care of a spot around camp. So you might get assigned to the waterfront steps just to help sweep and take care of that space. As Sean said, we have a large camp, many buildings, many areas that are all shared communal living spaces. So this is just an opportunity for our staff and our campers to kind of help take care of our shared living space and just kind of take care of a specific area for each night after dinner. And then following detail, we have our all camp activities, which are called section games, which are always very popular. And those are kind of traditional activities like capture the flag, Frosty Ball, which is our version of kind of dodgeball, and Wells Fargo, which is kind of a version of capture the flag as well, which is also very popular. And then rounding out the night for our south end, which is our younger campers, south end taps is at 9:30, so kind of lights out, head to bedtime. And then for our older campers in the north end is 10 o'clock for taps for them. Okay. Program areas. So as I said earlier, we have about a dozen different incredible areas for our campers to go and participate in. So on the waterfront, we have our swing pier, we have our boathouse, which has canoes and kayaks and paddle boards. We have our sailing program. So we have about a dozen or more small sailing craft for our campers to take out on our Boulder Lake, specifically kind of in the South Bay area, which is the side of the lake our camp is located on. We also have about 15 to 18 horses every year. We have a music program, nature, crafts, bikes, riflery, archery sports, so many different fun activity areas that each day are doing something different. So the campers will experience different activities from day to day, depending on where they go. Wonderful opportunity to try something new, maybe discover a new talent. Camp is where I kind of discovered my passion for music, and then I started to learn the guitar and the piano. So very grateful for my time here at camp as myself as a past camper. And there are many different, fun activities for you to do during that time. As I said earlier, our dining hall is called Nash Lodge, which is where breakfast, lunch, and dinner will take place. So we have a contracted dining service that we work with called Summer Camp Cooks, and we've been happy to be working with them for the last handful of years. So we have our main food service director, as well as sous chefs, assistant chefs, our dining hall directors, as well as a number of seasonal staff that we hire every year to kind of help make sure that the dining hall is running as efficiently as possible. So 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, nutritious options at every meal. We eat family style, which means that everyone around the table is saying please and thank you and passing things. We have our older campers kind of help waiter during that time, which is always fun. So they get to help kind of refill empty baskets and things like that as they are emptied. We have dessert once a day, which is after lunch, which is always fun. And then we are also very catering and accommodating for things like dietary and allergy needs. We are a nut-free kitchen, and our staff and our chefs are very good about accommodating, again, for vegetarian, vegan, gluten-free, dairy-free, and any other specialty needs as they come. Okay. And with that, I will throw it to our wonderful Luke Wade, who is our risk director.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Luke, the Wilderness Risk Director. In my role here at camp, I get to be responsible for all of our trail programming, which includes both our trips closer to camp as well as our outpost programs, where we have campers who go much, much further afield, trips up to 45 days on trail, or the longest ones for our oldest campers. So every camper gets to go on the trail or on a wilderness trip. Our shortest ones are 3 days, 2 nights, and they go all the way up to 9 days, and that varies depending on age. Some of the different skills that our campers get to practice and learn while they're out on trail. Obviously, they get to learn the camping skills, canoeing skills, backpacking skills necessary. They also get to learn to cook some fantastic meals out on trail. Something that I have found to be true across all of the many, many different trips that I've been on, regardless of weather and location, is that pretty much everything tastes better outside. You get a better view, you get really good company, and also you get to be working hard all day and really exerting yourself and challenging yourself. And when you get to sit down to pizza or brownies or macaroni and cheese or whatever else it is that you're having for breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert, it feels much, much more rewarding. Our campers also get to practice their leadership skills, finding different roles on trail to help contribute to both their own personal growth and also the success of their group. One of the phrases that I have picked up in my travels and I really enjoy is that if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go together. And that opportunity for our campers to practice their leadership skills in that group setting where they are able to support and collaborate with each other is absolutely vital. So campers, when they get to come back from their trips, whether it is their first trip or whether they have been going to camp for multiple years, they get to come back having been challenged and been inspired by the teamwork they get to experience and the beautiful wildernesses that we get to travel through. On our next slide, we'll talk about where some of our trips go. So these are in a little bit reverse order from the way that we covered cabins. So our far north trips for our oldest campers, they will either be sea kayaking up in Voyager National Park, or they might be backpacking out on the Superior Hike, and they'll be out there for a total of 9 days and a total of 8 nights spent out in their tents and sleeping bags. For our near north trip, they'll be out there for 7 days, 6 nights, backpacking in the Porcupine Mountains. As we can see on the map there, that is a wilderness area on the Upper Peninsula in Michigan, right on the southern shore of Lake Superior, a fantastic area. Our far south and our near south trips are both canoeing, and they both start and end on Boulder Lake. We are really fortunate with our location in that there are multiple chains of lakes. We might not technically be in the land of lakes, but we have a multitude of lakes. So our far south and our near south trips, both way and paddle back on Boulder Lake. And depending on what level of challenge the group is going for and how far they're going and their ages, they might be paddling and portaging across multiple lakes, or they might stay a little bit closer as they start to, gain some mastery over those skills and then build up for further progression throughout the years. So with that, I'm going to pass it back to Sean.
Thanks, Luke. So I'm going to kind of go into detail about just our health services and our nurses that we have on call. So we actually have a health center, as you can see in that picture. And in that health center, we have some nurses throughout the summer that help out with many different services. They're here always on call, so 24-hour on call, but they are the ones that will be helping with medication distribution. They will be kind of working with our campers with any kind of medical needs. We lock up most of our medications in our health center, but there are some emergency medications that we do allow to, like emergency inhalers and EpiPens, just because those are a quicker need. So we are checking in with those campers and making sure whatever they need they will have. And then we do daily checks with our nurses. So our nurses will make sure that all the campers have their medications, and that includes going on trail, making sure that they have all the medications they need to go out on the trail, and they communicate that with our staff, and our staff are trained as well for any kind of medications that they might need to use for their campers. And all of the staff that are with them have all that knowledge and training to know which campers have medications, so that they make sure that those campers get the correct medications during the time on trail. But then when they're on camp, they're with those nurses, and those nurses will distribute. And for those respective times, they do it during morning, afternoon, evening, and bedtime. So those are different options that you will get to fill out for any forms. When you do fill out those forms for getting medications to your camper, those will be the options to give them. So just making sure you're aware of that, and then that will be all put in the system. And then there is also a local clinic in Woodruff, which is our Howard Young Medical Center. That's about 20 minutes away. And we will contact the parents if there's any need for sending those kids to those areas that are local to us with emergency service as well. But those are our nurses. And then the next part, we're going to talk about communication to our campers. So there's a few ways to stay in touch with your campers. We want to make sure that the parents have the opportunity, when they send their kids off for 3 weeks, we want to give them the opportunity to keep in contact with the campers. The first way is the snail mail. It takes a little bit longer because it's sending it through the mail system. So we always recommend, if you are planning on using that system of communication, please just make sure to take some consideration into the time it takes to deliver that mail. So give a few extra days when you're mailing that letter out to the campers, and then we also will hand deliver those messages or those letters to the campers through our staff, and making sure that those campers get that mail, as well as our campograms. So our campograms are a little bit of a quicker process to get mail sent over. It's more of a online system, so you go to our website, and that is printed off of our printer, and we hand that directly to the campers. So that's a little bit of a quicker system that we use as well to get letters out to the campers and give them the opportunity to get letters from parents. And nothing better than getting a letter from your parent, and it's really exciting to have. And then we also do have care packages. We do want to make sure that we note that we don't allow any food or drinks. If any food or drink is delivered through that package, we will kind of store it in a safe place for the camper to have when they leave. But we just ask that we don't have the camper have any food or drink while they're in the cabin, and that can be with dietary restrictions as well as allergies. We want to make sure we're considerate for all the campers that will be staying in that cabin. So just make sure you know that those are the few items that we will make sure that aren't allowed in cabins, and they will just be stored to the side. And with that, I'm excited to kick it back over to Kevin to talk about transportation.
Okay, thank you, Sean. So for those who are not going to be traveling with their camper or picking their camper up for those opening closing days, which we talked about a little bit earlier, there are a couple of opportunities for transportation which Camp Manitowish offers. I'll first start with going over our buses, which come from camp and leave camp at the beginning and end for those opening and closing days, specifically from locations such as Madison, Milwaukee, and Green Bay for Wisconsin, and Oak Brook and Deerfield for Illinois. For those folks who are coming in from either overseas or further afield from the Midwest, we also have a few options for airport transportation to and from those airports, specifically from the Rhinelander Oneida County Airport in Rhinelander, which is about 43 minutes away from camp, and then the Central Wisconsin Airport, or CWA, which is in Wausau, Wisconsin, which is about 100 miles from camp. Ooh, I said 43 miles. Yeah, 100 miles from camp. And from that, we will move on to, thank you, and questions from anyone here for any questions that are available or to get.
Kevin, I'll start off with the first question just to make sure this question does get answered. There was a question about just swim tests. Could you go a little bit more detail about just how the swim tests work here at camp?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for every summer camper, for both boys camp and girls camp, the second day of camp, so the day after that opening day, is what we call our kind of swim challenge day, amongst other things that happen during that day. So specifically, each camper will come down to the waterfront, what we call sections. So as Sean talked about earlier, we have 4 sections at camp, which are comprised of about 6 cabins each, according to age group. So your cabin/section will come down to the waterfront, and our waterfront staff and our waterfront director will be there to kind of brief you on what's about to happen for the swim challenge, answer any questions you have, make sure you're feeling comfortable and confident before they begin. Essentially, the swim challenge has 2 parts to it. The first is going to be at the pier, where our campers will go out onto the pier, 1 cabin at a time on each side of the pier, and they will enter the water and they will swim a lap, so down and back. And then after that is done, they will then tread water for 10 minutes, tread/float. After those 10 minutes are up, the campers will exit the water and they'll make their way over to what we call our boathouse, where they will put on life jackets, or PFDs, which stands for personal flotation device. They will enter the water right in front of our boathouse, and our lovely staff will help them get into our orange Grumman canoes in groups of 2 or 3. We'll give them a gentle push from the seawall. They'll float a little bit away from the seawall to the point where once the boat is tipped over and they're in the water, they won't be able to stand. And they will be given a countdown from 3, at the end of which they will decide which side of the boat they want to rock to. They'll rock the boat. The boat will fill with water. They'll be floating next to the canoe, and then all they need to do is push that canoe back to shore, at which point the staff will be there to help guide them in getting the canoe back, floating at the surface, free of water, and then they can exit and put their life jackets back into the boathouse where they found them. And then to go way back to the beginning, so when you come down for the swim challenge, you are dressed in what we call trail/swim challenge attire, which is essentially just closed-toed shoes, long pants, and a long-sleeve shirt. And these don't have to be heavy layers. They can be light layers, so things like long underwear is totally acceptable for that swim challenge.
Awesome. And then our next question is, what kind of backpack do you recommend for trail excursion, as well as are they hauling their sleeping bags on trail?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would actually recommend that for your camper coming up to their trail excursions, that they use the gear that we have here at camp. We have a very, very, very extensive selection of trail bags, and we have those pretty specifically for the trips that we do. So I would recommend not putting any significant amount of effort into finding a backpack for your camper to take on trail, because we have backpacks here. And then as for whether or not they are bringing their sleeping bags with them, they definitely are. If we have a camper who maybe they feel a really high level of concern about not wanting to bring their sleeping bag on trail, or if they want something just slightly different, we have our gear library here as well. So if there is a camper who needs to be outfitted with one of those for whatever reason, we're more than happy to help with that. And then I also see that we have a question about near north. Yes. So for our trips, we split our cabins. They go in 2 different sections, rather than having 10 campers and multiple counselors going out at once. So it will be half of the cabin going on a trip at a time. And then the other half of the cabin, they kind of swap back and forth on that. The advantages of that are that when you take 10 campers and 2 counselors out into the wilderness, you feel a little bit less like it's wilderness. It also means that you end up hauling a lot more gear and food. So logistically, we found that it works a lot better to do 2 trips split into about 5 and 5.
Thanks, Luke. Looks like we got another question.
Can I step in just as a follow-up to that?
Yeah, for sure.
Specifically, are there a group of 10, 15, 20 that got the bid for the lottery for Near North backpacking? And will those specific groups and sections, do you know how they will be assigned to cabins this year? AKA all the backpackers sharing the same cabin, or the backpacking sections of 5 will be dispersed amongst different cabins?
Mary, I think we haven't put those cabin groups together yet. So I believe there's 2 groups for Near North and 2 groups for Far North. Does that sound right, Kevin? Okay, he's nodding yes. Okay, so I believe that's how it's going to go. I don't want to promise anything. We know that there's lots of things that happen between right now and the start of camp. So if there's specific questions, Mary, that you've got, feel free to reach out if there's specific concerns about cabin placements.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Also, if it is easier to ask the questions while unmuting, that's totally fine as well. So you don't have to type away as well to save your fingers from typing, but whatever works best for you.
Yes. So each of the different sections will kind of go on a similar length of time on trail. So our Deer Southers go on a 3-day, our Far Southers go on a 5-day, Near North on a 6 or 7-day, and then those Far Northers on an 8 or 9-day. So yeah, so hopefully that kind of shares a little bit of kind of what that will look like. But they will be similar timeframes within each section. Let me know, Lisa, if that doesn't answer your question.
And just like Karen was saying as well, if there's any questions that you might have that you weren't able to ask as well, feel free to email us and we'll be able to happily to answer any of those questions that you might have. This is not the only time to ask questions, and we'd be more than happy to answer them. But yeah, we're just really excited to have everyone here at camp. We're counting down the days for the warm weather, and just everyone being here and seeing those smiling faces. And yeah, this is one of my most favorite parts of the time, is just talking to everyone and getting everyone excited for camp. And then when everyone's here, that's the best day, because everyone's here and we're just having fun and enjoying the weather and enjoying camp. And some of you might be previous campers that are now sending your kids to camp, and we really appreciate that, and we we now they get to experience the same that you got to experience. So we're excited for that as well. Cool.